Hi, it's just turned 2 o'clock and we are ready to start today's event. My name is Rasmus Køjborg, and on behalf of Christian Andersen Capital, I would like to welcome you all to today's event with the presentation of the Q3 2021 trading statement from Aquaporin. With us today, we have both the founder and the current CEO, that's Peter Holmer Jensen, and you're also joined by the current Chief Commercial Officer, Matt Bukowski, who will take over as CEO from 1st of January 2022. So before I hand over to you guys, I'd also like to give a warm welcome to all of those of you who signed up today. As always, you can ask questions in the chat room in the lower right corner. So I'll, of course, hope you'll do that, and then we'll record the presentation and publish it on our webpage afterwards. With that, I'll leave it to you, Peter and Matt. Please go ahead.
Sounds good. So thank you very much for having us. We're very happy to be here to provide you with our trading update for Q3. The third quarter at Aquaporin has been extremely busy. We have had a lot of advances in products, and we of course continued our piloting and building the organization. That really took quite a bit of the time, onboarding new employees, which all of this is in line with our strategy for growing the commercial team, especially. Maybe before we jump into sort of the next slides on the financial highlights, I just wanted to mention a few things. We of course, so this is our forward-looking statements. But what I actually wanted to say is, we did quite a bit of hiring in the commercial team. We have also made some adjustments to our organization to focus some existing employees on commercial efforts as well. We really see a lot of traction today for our products and technology in the market. A lot of positive discussions with customers, which again highlights our strategy in terms of growing the brand and customers really adhering to having clean water filtered by nature. We've had also success in growing our number of key accounts. And we've had quite a successful show in Amsterdam at Aquatech, where again we took this opportunity to bring the entire commercial team. The executive team was there to generate leads and to further grow our presence. We feel that we are executing our strategy as we intended, and we are very excited about the future of the company and where we're heading. Now, if we switch to the next slide. Of course, Q3 was slow in terms of revenue, but I think just the flavor that I gave you indicates that it was definitely not slow in terms of activities and in terms of traction. But in Q3 2021, revenue amounted to 7 million Danish kroner. 0.7. Thank you, Peter. 0.7 million Danish kroner, and our revenue to date is 3.5. EBITDA before special items was negative 17.3 in Q3 and a negative 55 Danish kroner year to date. EBIT before special items was negative 21 million Danish kroner, and to date 67.7 million. And lastly, cash and cash equivalents are at 169.1 million, and that's as of September 30th, 2021. Could you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So I've alluded to some of the traction and some of the momentum that we've seen in the quarter. So here you have some of the commercial highlights that we would like to bring to your attention. First, we had an order of 2,500 purifiers in the drinking water industry with a Turkish conglomerate, Vestel. This is the largest single order in Aquaporin's history, and we have had the company announcement about this on July 16, 2021. We also see momentum building in industrial water, and we have one new pilot project commenced in India for resource recovery, and we have had positive results in 2 separate pilot projects in India as well. I think this is really important because it really highlights that our commercial strategy on the industrial business is moving ahead, primarily in the area of forward osmosis, which also indicates that customers are accepting our new technology and a new way to separate water, to filter wastewater, and to recover resources. In food and beverage as well, we are advancing in piloting, and we have our first mobile system fully operational. That's as of October 2021, and we're in ongoing discussions with customers to really start the sale of those systems, and for a stronger order uptake in 2021 and 2022, of course. I think one important point here is that we closed a flagship order of flat sheet and drinking water with a global consumer brand in China, and that was just a few days ago in November 2021. So not so much a Q3 highlight, if you want, but I think it's really important to share this with our shareholders, because it is something that we have been working on very hard for since the time of the IPO, basically. I think we also have advanced discussions with a global key account for a strategic collaboration agreement in drinking water, and we hope to be able to share the specifics of this in the future as soon as this becomes concrete. We've had repeat orders from strategic key accounts. That's also, I believe, something that is important to highlight. These repeat orders also are something that came right after the September 30th date, so they are not shown in the Q3 numbers. But I think also it shows a traction that I mentioned previously. And really, overall, our commercial activity is significantly higher than in previous years. And not just in terms of hiring people, in terms of restructuring departments to make them more commercially focused, but really in terms of the numbers of leads that we're getting, in terms of repeat customers, and that's something that we're all extremely excited within Aquaporin. Could you switch to the next slide, please? So, as you know, our financial guidance has been revised from 15 to 20 million that we had originally guided at the time of the IPO to 6 to 10 million. Now, despite this, our EBITDA and EBIT remain unchanged. I think what I would want to say about this is the revision of the guidance has a lot to do with what we're able to recognize in 2021, and we are in November, and so our visibility to what can be recognized in the next month and 6 or 7 days is quite high, and we didn't have this level of visibility and this level of accuracy until just a few days ago. And this has to do with, of course, some strategic accounts that we're discussing with. That some of them, the discussions took a little bit longer than expected. It also has to do with the supply chain. And what I mean by that is, globally speaking, there's delays in getting raw materials. There's delays in getting things like boxes. There's delays in getting things printed, in securing shipping containers. And Aquaporin has this flexible model when we depend a lot on contract manufacturers to deliver our final products. And so we have to make sure that, of course, we are able to put all the pieces together in order to deliver things on time to our customers. And with the global supply chain stress that we've witnessed, that has caused some challenges to us to be able to recognize everything that we wanted to in Q4. And so we prefer to be cautious, if you want, and really restate this guidance to 6 and 10. And of course, we're doing everything we can to bring in as many orders as possible in the next 4 or 5 weeks. And so all I can tell you is that it's been extremely busy for last month, and it's going to be probably even busier for the next 4 weeks here. Could you go to the next slide, please? And here I'll pass it to our CEO, Peter.
Thank you, Matt. Then I'll pass the CEO on to you a little bit later. But as you can see, Matt and I have quite a nice collaboration. We've had that for some time now, 7 months. And we both look very much forward to the change in the executive management that will happen as of the 1st of January 2022, where I will take the role of Chief Innovation Officer and focus my efforts more on open innovation and our technology development, specifically our deep tech development activities. And Matt will go in as the Chief Executive Officer. As you can hear, Matt has a very clear focus on our commercial activities, which of course is essential for our growth and our journey forward. What I would like to highlight though is that the reason why I'm also quite excited and going into the Chief Innovation Officer role is that I really see Aquaporin not only as a company that commercializes its current product, it is also still a technology company that has so many exciting things in its pipeline. And I think it's one of those things that we're also going to maybe focus a bit on in 2022 to tell about all the exciting stuff that we have going on in our open innovation activities that we have today, where, as an example, we've had a collaboration with the Singapore government and the Public Utility Board for 2 years now, where we have developed and now are piloting our brackish water membrane that have just been launched as a commercial product here in November, which we haven't talked about today, but they actually were launched at the HC Andersen. It is something that came directly out of the open innovation collaboration with the Singapore government. In the same project, we are also developing our Aquaporin Inside technology for desalination of seawater, and we are going to pilot that in 2024. All of these things are happening in close collaboration, both with technology partners, but actually also with the end customer, in this case being the Singapore government. And this really shows how many opportunities a company like Aquaporin has in open innovation. It's a thing that we have done a lot in the past, and which I think it's fair to say Aquaporin has really excelled in. Over the last 15 years, we have received around 55 million euros from governmental funding to these activities, because there's not a government on earth that does not support the development of more energy efficient water treatment technology, as Aquaporin is about. I think we can actually sort of bring that focus back to open innovation and public-private partnerships. And I'm quite excited about this new role that I'm taking. And I'm confident that Matt will be a new excellent CEO. So
thank you.
Welcome to the seat, Matt.
Thanks. Yeah, look, I'm really excited about this, both, of course, because Peter is taking on the Chief Innovation Officer role, and which we both see as an important role for the future of the company, and of course to have the opportunity to steer the company on a commercial journey that had begun before my arrival as CCO. We are accelerating it, and we're going to be continuing on that journey. And so, the way that we feel is that we really are in the sort of beginning steps of a takeoff for the company, and we are really putting all the pieces in place to make it happen. And I think the traction that we're seeing and the momentum is there. It's definitely there. So we're both very excited. Everybody actually at Aquaporin is super excited about where we're heading. So yeah, I think this will conclude, and we'll open it up for any questions that might be coming from you or from the audience. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Peter and Matt. And perhaps when we are on this slide, maybe Matt, could you tell a little bit about your background? I think most know Peter from the company, but I've had the pleasure to meet you, but I'm not sure the full audience has met you before.
Yeah, I think thank you. Well, it'll be a pleasure to do that. So I joined Aquaporin almost 8 months ago in the role of Chief Commercial Officer and Deputy CEO. I came to Aquaporin from Suez, where I was in charge of, I was VP of Industrial Markets. So I was in charge of leading the industrial marketing team and leading the development of some key industries and key accounts for Suez. In that role, I was based in Paris at the Suez headquarters, and my scope was really industrial accounts, initially looking at marketing for 7 global key industries, and then shifting to key account management in 2 particular industries, one being microelectronics and data centers, and the other one being pharmaceutical. Prior to joining Suez, which I actually joined through their acquisition of GE Water and Process Technologies, I had been with GE Water for 8 years. And with GE Water, I had different roles of sort of increasing responsibility, starting from sales, going into a senior marketing role, then going into managing the offshore equipment business for the water division, the equipment division of GE Water. And in that role, I was working very much with membrane technologies, primarily nanofiltration, ultrafiltration, developing products for this market, positioning with this market, working with marketing teams, and so on. I would say that overall, I spent about 15 years of my career in the filtration and separation industry, with a small kind of dabble in the healthcare industry along the way, and in the biofuels sector as well. And education-wise, I have a degree in engineering and in microbiology, and I also have an MBA from a business school in Montreal called HEC, or HC in French.
Thank you very much, Matt. And let's run through some of the questions that has come in. And there's one here that's sort of on the order generation. You sort of state your continued visibility on the order generation in the level of the 15 to 20 million. And then the question goes here. So this does include the full value of the Vestel order, the one you had with the Turkish conglomerate.
Yes, it does. Yeah. It does. It has the full value of the Vestel order, and some other orders that we're discussing, and includes a number of so it includes purchase orders and also advanced discussions with a few select customers.
Very good. And could you also give us a little bit of flavor? How large is the order backlog you have going into 2022? And also a bit of flavor on how Q1 22 revenues will be given in regards of this sort of year-end timing issues that you have experienced.
So I would say that the backlog will materialize in H1 of 2022. I think we're going to see some activity in Q1, and there's going to be certain deals that we are still awaiting forecasts to be able to give a precise date, but I would say H2 is will be a fair statement. Sorry, H1 of 2022. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And could you give us a little bit of flavor on sort of like the magnitude of sort of the missing or the postponed orders that you have experienced here in the end of 21? Is it sort of a couple of orders, or is it more like, say, 10, 15 project orders that hasn't materialized as you hoped?
Yeah, I would say it's really two. It's two orders, and it's not that they haven't materialized on time, and that's when I was referring to certain discussions that took longer than expected, or some supply chain related issues that took a little bit longer. This really pertains to two orders that really should have happened, or had they happened a little bit sooner, we would have been able to potentially have a larger number of repeat orders with those customers. So that's really one of the issues that we see that leads us to restate the guidance. Now, of course, we develop a lot of other accounts, and we see traction with some of those other accounts, and so I would say a few accounts have been able to come in sooner than expected and compensated for some of that. But again, these are smaller numbers, so it's not the same magnitude. But I would say two big accounts that we have. It's just they're strategic deals that take a little bit longer to finalize.
Yeah, and I think we are quite confident, both of us, that what we are seeing right now, it's really a timing issue. It is not a structural issue we are facing. It's a timing issue on two specific accounts.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, very good. And let's look again at one of the orders that did materialize here in 21, the Vestel order you had with this Turkish conglomerate. There's a question here that goes regarding the Turkish lira. there's quite some volatility in that currency at the moment. How are these contracts made in terms of currency settlement?
Yeah, so the contract for this particular one is in it's called a stable currency, so we're not impacted by the volatility of the Turkish lira.
Very good. And have you started delivering on this order? And has some of these, you mentioned some supply chain issues, as most companies struggle with at the moment. You mentioned those. Have those also affected this order specifically?
Yes. I think this particular order, we expect, our expectation is to ship in December. And it's one that we could have shipped earlier, and because of that supply chain discussion that that we've had previously, we were not able to do this. So it is one of the two. Yeah.
Very good. And there was also a question regarding your cash position. I think you had it in the final dot here on this slide. And also, will you have enough cash if you run into sort of like a soft 2022, or do you have in your expectations that things will pick up? I think you indicated that earlier also, but yeah.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. We are, like at the beginning of, when we did our IPO, the idea was that we want to be in a position to have cash until the end of 2023, beginning 2024. We are still maintaining that strategy, that position. I think what we're seeing in the Q3, for instance, the slower activity than expected, it really isn't material in our opinion when we put this in the bigger scheme of the traction that we actually see for our products and for our technology. So we do expect that things are we see things already picking up with some of the highlights that we suggested, and we foresee this to continue. So I think we have a good control in our cash position.
Very good. And around the time of the IPO, I kind of recall you said that you would be staffing up sort of on the commercial side, and at that time you were around some 69 employees or full-time employees. What is the current status, and have you been doing this ramping up on the commercial part?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, because so we are more employees. We are approximately 78 today. So that's nine more than with the number that you just communicated. But it's not all direct salespeople. I think if you look at how we intend to commercialize, of course we need direct sales or B2B sales in drinking water. So we've added 2 people in that on that team. We have also increased somebody in customer service. So that's also a person that we needed to be able to process the orders, do the proposals, and so on. On the industrial water and food and beverage side, we've added 1 person, but we've also then strengthened our commercial engineering department with the hiring of 1 person and 1 more person that we intend to hire very shortly. I think then we also added somebody on the supply chain side. That's also a critical role for us, especially when it comes to fulfilling the orders on the kind of smaller packages like the purifiers, for instance. And I think these roles really contribute to growing our capabilities in delivering the solutions to our customers, but also to conducting pilots. That's 1 person that we also added is somebody to help us with our food and beverage piloting. So all these individuals, some of them are responsible for direct sales, but a number of them are really technical sales that are required to pilot, then to have the kind of advanced conversations with the customers together with the sales directors to then convert that pilot into firm and larger orders. So I think that pretty much gets us to about 9 people. Yeah.
Very good. And in relation to this, could you also update us a little bit? Where are you sort of in terms of the R&D side going forward? Peter mentioned before that there is still some interesting projects to allocate resources for. is there still a lot of R&D to do, or is it, how should we focus on that compared to the commercial side?
Well, I think this is a good question for the Chief Innovation Officer to come. Where we are right now is that we have an increasing number of commercial products that are already on the shelves, and this is what Matt and the team is pushing out in the first wave in drinking water, in the second wave in industrial water, and these are finalized products. But obviously, also being a technology company, we also have a lot of ideas for the future. So just like when you have an iPhone 12, you also have an idea for an iPhone 15, I'm sure. And we have the same. And right now we have a lot of projects that are going on into upscaling our current products from not only being a technology provider, but also to becoming a system provider, where we have system solutions powered by the Aquaporin Inside technology. We have done this in drinking water, where we have gone from providing drinking water reverse osmosis membrane into providing system solutions, point of use systems with the Aquaporin Inside technology in it. And we are currently doing the same in industrial water, where we have both our forward osmosis technology, which can up-concentrate and dewater industrial wastewater streams. And now, as of mid-November, we've also launched our brackish water reverse osmosis membranes. These can also be integrated into larger system solutions. And we are very close to also being able to talk a bit more about the activities with full system solutions that we have ongoing in Asia, and more specifically in China. Cannot come into the details of it, but it's a good example of that we have actually a lot of upscaling projects going on in our technology department. Then in our deep tech department, we have the opportunity to not only create an Aquaporin 2.0, where we actually utilize our biomimetic membrane technology even further into improving the efficiency of the Aquaporin Inside technology, but also utilizing our competences in the field of utilizing membrane proteins in general into other industries. And a lot of these activities are actually not coming from within. These are customer driven. So what we do is we go into the industry and then see what are the customers' needs in these areas. And even in our deep tech department, we have a broad variety of both potential projects and also ongoing projects, where we actually do it from a customer demand perspective.
Very good. Thanks, Peter. I was also wondering, there was a question here, sort of in terms of the industrial water, where you says that you can see that momentum is building at the moment. Could you just refresh us? What kind of product is it that you offer in this segment? I think you briefly just touched upon it, Peter, in your answer on the R&D part.
Yes, absolutely. So in industrial water, we have two products. We have the FO and the RO. So we've launched the reverse osmosis clear series membranes, and that has been launched at Aquatech, so barely a month ago. And the team has been pushing this product quite actively into the market. We have a few customers that are piloting the products already, or potential customers. And we are actually, that is one of the roles that we're trying to fill in the near future. It's to have an expert for our brackish water RO elements. And that will be contributing to our growth in industrial water in 2022. But the momentum, so that's only, I would say, a small part of the momentum. The momentum that I was referring to is really on the FO technology. And this is in a really interesting area, which is for resource recovery. So recovering resources and valuables from wastewater. We have a really interesting pilot in India that we are, again, as soon as I can announce, of course we will announce, but it's one that we are working with customers closely. And there's two more such pilots, if you want, with very reputable organizations, one in India and one in China. And we really see this use of FO in a lot of applications, especially around wastewater, but also when it comes to valuables and valuable recovery or resource recovery. And another segment that we are really sort of getting excited about is in the renewables, in the renewable energy when it comes to things like digestate treatment and wastewater from digestate and so on, used in the production of biogas. That's another area where we see some momentum and some traction. So again, this is something that we are currently exploring, and we see our technology being quite well perceived and working quite well in those applications.
Maybe I can just add a little bit about a couple of take-home messages that we actually got from Aquatech was very specifically in drinking water. There's a huge focus on removal of PFAS, and within industrial wastewater, there's actually a big focus on the biogas, where the digestate waste streams today constitutes a bottleneck in the production of biogas. And we feel that the Aquaporin Inside technology can be the right solution for both these challenges. One within drinking water, another one within industrial water.
All right, very good. We're running a bit short of time, and I think we've been through most of the questions for now. So I think I'll just conclude by that. And thank you very much, Matt and Peter. Looking forward to follow you in your new roles. And thanks to the audience also for a lot of questions. So I just want to wish you all a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.